Should you upgrade to the iPhone 16/16 Pro if you've got an iPhone 15/15 Pro? Well, with the pre-order starting very soon, I'm going to go over all the improvements from the design to the display, cameras, performance, and much more to help you guys decide. And in preparation for the iPhone 16 release, Toras has developed some sleek cases to keep your iPhone 16s protected for years. You can find out more about Toras later in the video. So let's start with the design improvements on the standard models, if you're coming from the iPhone 15 or 15 Plus. And here, we've got 5. The first being the colors, which are so much better now, as they are actual colors as opposed to the 1% saturation colors that we had before. I do wish that it had some completely new colors too, rather than just more colorful versions of the existing ones. I mean, sure, silver is new, but a red or vibrant yellow or maybe even a galactic purple would have been super cool here. The second improvement is the vertical camera module. All iPhones since the iPhone 13 have looked the same from the back, so if you want something that feels more fresh, that's a good reason to consider getting a 16. The third improvement is the 50% stronger front glass, which should withstand drops better than the iPhone 15. Should. The fourth is the action button that we originally had on the iPhone 15 Pro and which replaces the mute switch. This lets you assign a custom function to it. So if you've always wanted a dedicated button for launching the flashlight or turning on Do Not Disturb mode or even opening your garage door, the iPhone 16 will be able to do this for you. And the fifth improvement is actually the biggest one for me, and that is the new camera control button. And this is placed on the bottom right hand side and it lets you launch the camera with ease and also control things such as zoom, portrait mode, depth, exposure, and more simply by swiping your finger up and down on it. What's really cool is that you also get a haptic click response despite it being fixed and capacitive. And this is honestly my favorite feature of the entire iPhone 16 lineup, although I do wish that I had placed it higher up, as right now it's mostly aimed towards landscape shooting rather than portrait, which is what most people shoot nowadays. Now, if we take a look at the Pro models, we get 3 of these same improvements. So everything aside from the action button, which was already here, and the vertical camera modules. The colors for the Pro models are also a bit different. The black is now darker, and the blue is now replaced by this gold desert titanium. So if you really wanted a gold for your iPhone 15 Pro and you didn't have that option, well, now you do. So just by looking at the design updates alone, you definitely get more improvements by going from the iPhone 15 to the iPhone 16, as opposed to going from the 15 Pro to the 16 Pro. Which brings me to the display. On the standard models, we only get one single improvement, and that is the minimum brightness, which is now one single nit. So when you're reading in bed at night, your iPhone's display should no longer blast you with light, even on the minimum brightness setting. The Pro models, however, get 3 improvements. This 1 nit minimum brightness level, thinner bezels, which do look more modern now, and bigger display sizes. The 16 Pro now has a 6.3-inch display as opposed to 6.1 on the 15 Pro, while the 16 Pro Max now has a 6.9-inch display as opposed to 6.7 on the 15 Pro Max. So if you wanted larger displays on your iPhone 15 Pro, now you've got this with the iPhone 16 Pro, which means that your favorite wallpapers from our app Wallpapers will look even more gorgeous. Links down below. However, the body sizes are bigger now, and based on our case models, I found the iPhone 16 Pro Max especially to be a noticeable downgrade in comfort when compared to the 15 Pro Max. If you've ever used a 14 Pro Max, it is actually extremely similar. The 16 Pro Max is slightly more comfortable due to its more rounded frame. Which brings me to the camera. If you're upgrading from the 15 to the 16, you're only getting 2 improvements. An upgraded ultra-wide with support for macro, and some updated photography styles that are a bit more customizable than before. The Pro models also get these photography styles as well as 3 more camera changes compared to the 15 Pros. Number 1, the ultra-wide is now a brand new 48 megapixel module up from 12, which also supports ProRAW just like the main module. Number 2, the 16 Pro now gets the same 5x zoom module that the 15 Pro Max has, and the 16 Pro Max, as opposed to the 3x of before. And number 3, we can now take 4K 120 frames per second video in Dolby Vision and also in ProRes if we connect an external SSD, which is something that even very few professional cameras can do. What's really cool about this is that we can also shoot in 4K 120 all the time and then decide to slow down the footage later. So you don't have to always pick between shooting normally and shooting in slow motion. So as I mentioned earlier, Toras has some awesome iPhone 16 accessories to keep your device protected. And as it turns out, Toras is actually the original creator of the stand case. Their stylish scissor door P-stand design allows for a minimal profile while still being super handy for charging while watching content or using standby mode. Not only that, but their cases are MagSafe compatible with super strong N56 magnets too. Toras's cases have a drop protection of up to 12 feet, with raised edges to protect the screen and the camera island. Plus, this frosted gray design is super sleek. And that protection can go even further, with their military-grade screen protector that can withstand up to 2.5 meter drops. Customers love Toras's snap and pull design, which is super easy to apply, leaving no edges or bubbles. Check out Toras by using the links below to keep your new iPhone 16 looking pristine. And this brings me to the performance. If you're upgrading from the iPhone 15 to the 16, you're going to get some massive improvements. First, you'll get 8GB of RAM up from 6, and when I first used the iPhone 15 Pro last year, the first iPhone with 8GB of RAM, I noticed that way more of my apps were able to stay open in the background, so it does make a difference. We also get the much more powerful A18 chip from the A16 that is 30% faster CPU-wise, 40% faster GPU-wise, twice as fast in terms of its neural engine, and also with 35% less power consumption. I doubt that you'll notice any of these improvements in day-to-day use, as we still only have a 60Hz display, but it does mean that your iPhone 16 should give you more years of software updates compared to the 15. Additionally, if you're a gamer, the iPhone 16 now supports ray tracing for some super realistic reflections in supported games, and you'll also be able to play AAA titles like Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil Village, Assassin's Creed Mirage, and more, all whilst running cooler thanks to the new thermal system. And the 16 Pros also get some performance upgrades over the 15 Pros, although not quite as significant. The A18 Pro chip inside is 15% faster CPU-wise, 20% faster GPU-wise, and has a 15% faster neural engine compared to the A17 Pro. The big performance improvement really is when it comes to gaming. The A18 Pro has double the ray tracing performance, and there is an even more advanced graphite thermal system for 20% better sustained performance than before. Still, the big performance upgrades are on the standard models. Which brings me to features. Compared to the iPhone 15, the iPhone 16 will give you Apple Intelligence, which can summarize text, transcribe audio, compose emails for you, as well as a smarter and contextually aware Siri, plus more. However, Apple Intelligence will not be available at launch, and it won't be in the EU due to regulations. This may be resolved in the future next year, although nothing is certain yet. What we do get, however, is Wi-Fi 7 for up to 4 times faster speeds than before if you've got a Wi-Fi 7 enabled router. Thread networking support as well for being able to control supported home accessories easier, and spatial audio. This lets you capture 3D audio when recording video, and even separate different parts of the recording, like muting the background voices completely or blending them more into the main audio. You can also use this in the Voice Memos app to record yourself singing on top of an already playing song, and then isolate your voice after. Now, if you're thinking of upgrading from the 15 Pro to the 16 Pro, you'll get Wi-Fi 7 as well as further improved microphones for spatial audio recording, but that's really it. So once again, the standard models do get more improvements here. When it comes to the battery, if you're moving from the iPhone 15 to the 16, you're going to get 2 extra hours of video playback, which is quite significant. The 16 Plus offers 1 extra hour from the 15 Plus, so a smaller upgrade here, while both Pro models will give you 4 extra hours. And with all models, you also get faster 25-watt MagSafe charging up from 15, for a 50% charge in 30 minutes, matching their cable charging speeds, as well as 15-watt Qi 2 charging support for third-party wireless chargers. So, having said all of this, should you upgrade from the iPhone 15 series to the 16? Well, if you've got an iPhone 15 Pro already, I would say no. Yes, you're getting that camera control button, 120 frames per second 4K video, and larger displays, but aside from that, you don't really get much. However, the jump from the 15 to the 16 is actually very significant. We get 2 function buttons, the new colors and camera design, significantly better performance, longer battery life, faster charging, macro support, and of course, Apple Intelligence. So, will you be upgrading from the iPhone 15? Let me know down below, and do subscribe for more iPhone 16 content in the coming days. I'm Daniel, this is Zone of Tech, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Zone of Tech, signing out. Cheers.